an analysis on the political party funding, as well the donors and the donations that they gave. We're joined this afternoon by political analyst Mr. Levy Ndou. Ntate Ndou, good to have you with us on the Daytime Update today. So what we saw yesterday when the IEC released the list of funders as well as the parties that they contributed to, some South Africans were a bit surprised to see who was on the list. Does it matter who gives money to who? Do voters actually really care?
Good afternoon to you, Tammy. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. I think we have a background in South Africa about political party funding. And there is always a practice, which is a universal one, that political parties would survive through subscriptions, and they will also mainly survive through donations. And of course, with the latter one, there is a general interest amongst people, especially to know why specific people are donating to the party, why them donate to party A and not donate to party B. And obviously it raises a number of suspicions. But one must indicate that as a general practice, it is something that is acceptable and is also something which is not illegal. But you would also not avoid a situation where people would want to know why certain people are actually the funders of political party A, and what are the reasons behind the funding. So there is sufficient justification for anybody who would love to know why certain people actually fund certain parties and not fund other political parties.
So let's take a look at who funded who. Let's start with the DA, which we have now. They received the third largest amount of donations. Donations there totaling 16.8 million rand. Let's look as well at the Action SA. They were the second largest funded party with a total of around 16.9 million rand. That's how much they got in total. Now, when you look at Action SA and their funding, there are two names that come up, two of Harry Oppenheimer's granddaughters who actually funded Herman Mashaba. Now, some say that is perhaps a little bit of a conflict, or perhaps something unexpected from Herman Mashaba to be funded by the Oppenheimers. If you remember, at some point, Julius Malema was saying that he enjoys a really good support and relationship with Action SA, and for them not to be working together now was a bit of an anomaly for him, saying that perhaps he has received funding that forbids him or prohibits him from making those type of relationships. What does that say?
Well, I think it's important to note that when people are funding, they would actually fund a political party for a number of reasons. And some would actually just fund as a gesture or because they've actually been requested to do so. And some would actually fund political parties because they love the policy positions of these political parties. But some will also fund political parties because they want to influence the policy directions of these political parties. So there might be a reason in one way or another for political parties to be funded by individuals. And of course, the EFF suspicion that maybe they might not be working with Herman Mashaba because it's being funded from elsewhere might also be the reason why Herman Mashaba has not been cooperating with the EFF. But also at the same time, there might also be other reasons why Herman Mashaba might not have taken a decision to cooperate with the EFF. But one thing is for sure, if the reason for funding political parties is to influence the decision of those political parties. Of course, that will actually have an effect on how these different political parties behave and how they actually relate with other people. What we should actually wait for now would be the main reasons why the Herman Mashaba Actions ASA got the funding from certain individuals, and to which extent do they want to influence the dynamics within Action SA. And of course, because of this kind of funding, an interest is going to develop, and it will also be up to Herman Mashaba himself to come up to the public and clarify the relationship that he actually has with these kind of families, so that everybody else should know exactly what is going on.
You talk about people knowing exactly what's going on and the transparency and how that helps voters, form narratives in their minds and better position the political parties that they support. We see Naspers gave R1 million to the Democratic Alliance. Talk to us about that and how that can be viewed or perceived.
Well, it can also be viewed in the same light. Remember, when you talk about funding, and especially in the form of donations, where you have got a lot of political parties, and you have got a lot of people that are poor, that are in need of these donations. It actually depends on your motive to a certain extent. If the motive is to influence the policy direction of a political party, that political party would always want to get views from their funders on how they are supposed to run their own activities.
Before Rand, the investment arm of the ANC Chancellor House contributed 15 million Rand. Is it a good idea to have parties reveal their donors, and how does that impact the donors themselves, especially now that they are in the public eye and under public scrutiny?
Our constitution talks about openness, transparency and accountability. And in South Africa now, political parties are compelled to disclose their funders. What then becomes the challenge would be for the motives of the funders to be known, and also to ensure that ordinary citizens actually know where the resources are actually coming from. But also at the same time, it puts everything in the open so that ordinary citizens should know how are these political parties get funded, who is actually behind their own funding, so that you don't have a situation where certain things are actually behind closed doors and ordinary citizens do not know what is happening. But we must also see this as an opportunity for political parties to be able to raise funds for themselves, so that they are able to run their affairs without any form of suspicion.
Levy Ndou, we thank you so much for your insight and your time this afternoon. That's Levy Ndou, political analyst. And